Hello and welcome back. Good to have you with me here. And there is some major news that has happened, so I cannot wait to share this with you. So as many of you know, Jeremy Clarkson wrote a column where he said some pretty nasty things concerning the Duchess of Sussex. And courtesy of huffingtonpost.co.uk, we are going to get into this. So their article starts off by saying, Carol Vorderman, Kathy Burke, and John Bishop are among the stars who've publicly condemned Jeremy Clarkson over, quote, vile remarks made by the former Top Gear presenter about Meghan in a newspaper column. The 62-year-old said that he, quote, hated the Duchess of Sussex and, quote, dreamt of the day when crowds throw lumps of excrement at her, end quote. So he wrote this in a column in The Sun, which was published on the 17th of December. And he also claimed that, quote, everyone who's my age thinks the same way, end quote. His comments came just days after the final 3 episodes of Prince Harry and Meghan's Netflix docu-series arrived on the streaming platform. Following the publication of the column, some major stars have called him out. Kathy Burke went on to wish the Duke and Duchess of Sussex continued happiness and called Clarkson an expletive, which I will not be saying here. So Carol Vorderman also blasted Jeremy's comments, insisting that, quote, we absolutely do not think the same, end quote. Carol tweeted, no, Jeremy Clarkson, not on any level, in any circumstance. Is it okay to write this stuff about any woman? And absolutely no to everyone who is my age thinks the same. No, 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 we absolutely do not think the same. Listen to the noise, Jeremy. The crowds are chanting, shame on you, end quote. And a comedian and actor, John Bishop, called out Clarkson's, quote, blatant appeal to incite humiliation and violence on a woman, end quote, following the publication of his column on Saturday. So he went on to say this, quote, I do not care who you are or who you work for. You simply cannot write things like this. And he said this as well. Some have excused it as dark humor. There is no joke here at Jeremy Clarkson and no excuse, end quote. So as you can see there, I have put up the segment of his article where he talks about how he hates Meghan. And we will also get into that. So Dom Jolly, who is also a comedian, said that he was, quote, gobsmacked at the utterly vile and disgusting comments written about Meghan by Jeremy Clarkson in The Sun, end quote. And Edith Bowman also wrote and said, also, how is someone able to print such abusive comments in an actual newspaper, end quote. So the MP, Jackie Smith, also addressed the Grand Tour presenter directly on Twitter over his remarks. Quote, I'm your age, Jeremy Clarkson, and I couldn't disagree more with you, end quote. Many other public figures were united in their condemnation of Clarkson on social media. Adil Ray wrote and said, a woman and a mother talks about the pain she suffered in her thoughts, and one of the country's biggest tabloids decides to publish this in response. Thinking of every woman or man who are in pain right now. Please remember, we have got you, and puts a heart emoji. And also Dr. Shola Mosshogbamimu wrote and said, combo of misogynoir, sexism and racism against Meghan Markle on public display is sick. Likes of Jeremy Clarkson, Piers Morgan et al. Can spew their filth with impunity against her and be rewarded with media platforms and party with Queen Camilla. Marcia Di Cordova, who's an MP, also wrote and said, this type of rhetoric is exactly what Meghan was highlighting in the documentary. Whatever opinion you have of Meghan, violence and hate against women is never acceptable, end quote. And also Philip Pullman wrote and said that Jeremy Clarkson can write things like that and publish them unashamed tells us all we need to know about the way Rupert Murdoch has poisoned and rotted our public life, end quote. So Huffington Post at that moment said that they contacted Clarkson's reps for comment. So in the second and final batch of episodes of Harry and Meghan, which debuted on the streaming service Netflix, the couple claimed that Harry was blocked from seeing his grandmother, the Queen, and that Prince William screamed and shouted at his brother at the Sandringham summit. And both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace as well have so far remained silent over the claims made by the couple in the 6-part series. So this was the article printed on the 18th. This was a day after his article. And now we have an update. Jeremy Clarkson has, I think, felt all of the backlash about his statement. So the list goes on and on. Even Miss and Harriman, who took the photos of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex when they announced that they were expecting Lilibet, he also spoke up condemning the comment by Jeremy Clarkson. And it is quite a vulgar statement as well. Not only with the timing of it, Meghan was speaking about the fact on the Netflix documentary that segments of the press were just going after her and inciting violence against her, and she had gotten threats to her life. And she said this, that they were making her scared, and she was scared for her life, she was scared for her babies, and she was saying that the things that people were putting out about her were making people want to do something that was so drastic to her. And she spoke about the levels of violence that were being incited against her by segments of the media and by trolling as well. If you can imagine the extent of the vulgarity of the statement by Jeremy Clarkson, not only with that timing, and once again, considering what Meghan has spoken about her own mental health and how far she had gone, that was so dire that Prince Harry had to take her out of there. And he writes this when we've just had this episode just last week, and he writes this, Meghan, though, is a different story. I hate her, he says. He goes on to say, quote, not like I hate Nicola Sturgeon or Rose West. I hate her on a cellular level, end quote. So who is Rose West? That is a serial killer. I had to Google it, and I was amazed that he could put Meghan on that level. I don't know about you, but this statement brought tears to my eyes, because why would he hate her on that level? And he says that he's unable to sleep, grinding his teeth. I'm not even going to go on and say it. The fact that he says everyone who's his age thinks that way is just so sad. This is just a bad look. I'm so grateful for those of you who've called him out in your capacity, whether it's tweeting at him, for those who have made videos about it. That is unacceptable. And I want to say this, that there is no way that anyone in the UK press would ever be allowed to write such kind of words about, for example, God forbid, write any kind of words of that nature about Catherine, and not only write that about her, but fear no backlash as well. And I'm going to go a step further. If anyone had ever penned anything of that nature concerning whether Camilla or Kate, the palace, whether it's Buckingham or Kensington Palace, would have spoken up by now, condemning those statements. I mean, let's just call back to what happened with Ngozi Fulani and the quickness of which that was dealt with. Statements were issued. People were told to step away from their roles, but with Meghan, just silence. It does call back to this fact that when people were discussing the Harry and Meghan docuseries and speaking about how Meghan had been thrown to the wolves and how they were being briefed against, and several people have spoken up who have had experience in the behind the scenes of drafting and writing these articles, one of them said this, that when it came to Harry and Meghan, they were told they could write what they wanted, but they were told to lay off William and Kate. So why did Jeremy Clarkson think he could write that about Meghan? And by the way, that's not the first time he's written something that is so horrible about her. He wrote this. I'm just going to put it up on screen. I'm not even going to read it out. What is this? And those segments of the UK press will say that Meghan has always been welcomed with open arms. What is this? Is she a member of that royal family or is she not? Can anyone imagine anyone penning anything of this nature concerning Kate? So today Jeremy Clarkson has spoken up on his Twitter. He spoke and said, quote, "Oh dear, I've rather put my foot in it. In a column I wrote about Meghan, I made a clumsy reference to a scene in Game of Thrones, and this has gone down badly with a great many people. I'm horrified to have caused so much hurt, and I shall be more careful in the future," end quote. So people online have heard him say that, but people are asking, how could he compare her to a serial killer? How could he write about her even before, prior to this, he has been writing about her and saying that the most horrible things. I'm just going to put this up again. Why would he say this about Meghan? Why would he say this? He calls Prince Harry Harold Markle. And he spoke about how before he was someone who flew Apache helicopters and, what he did in Las Vegas, whatever. And then he goes on to say, but then came along Meghan, who, quote, who obviously used some vivid bedroom promises. Vivid bedroom promises. What is that? Is it that playing into the whole Jezebel kind of trope? So this is just so sad, and I hope that people in the UK are watching and also watching the silence. And also, by the way, people called out the fact that there was an event, and I will correct it here. Some people were saying that Camilla had hosted Jeremy Clarkson and Piers Morgan at an event, and people were asking why that was, because of course Piers Morgan has been one of the most notable critics of the Sussexes, in particular Meghan. So first of all, let's just set a few things straight. There was a private lunch party where in fact Jeremy Clarkson and Piers Morgan attended, and it was hosted on December the 14th. Clarkson's column was published on December the 17th, this one in particular, that has just caused a lot of outrage. So a few things here. Clarkson and Morgan attended the lunch, but not at the invitation of Camilla. The lunch was not hosted by her, but she was a guest of a longtime friend called Ewan Venters, who was like a former CEO of some department store that was close to her home. So that's out the way. She didn't host it, but she did attend. But the fact that Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson were there, and this is long after they have been so critical of Meghan, even to the point that Piers Morgan had that altercation on air with his colleague of the show Good Morning Britain, and he had to leave the show because he said he did not believe Meghan's testimony. And of course, now I've showed you what Clarkson has in the past penned about Meghan. And the reason why Camilla has faced criticism for attending that event and associating with both the broadcasters after being an active supporter of women's charities, even recently hosting the Buckingham Palace reception that raised awareness of violence against women and girls, where Ngozi Fulani went through her own experience. It has caused people to wonder, not only because she was at the lunch event, but that she has heard that being spoken against her daughter-in-law, Meghan, and has not said a word about it, not only in the past from Piers Morgan or from Clarkson, but she has seen backlash against Jeremy Clarkson, but Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace are still quiet. So what kind of raising awareness of violence is that? Because silence is the enemy of that. Shouldn't they say something? Anyway, we're going to speak out because your voice and my voice matter and will make a difference when we all see something is wrong and, we call it out, we bring attention to it. People in the UK as well who have been calling out Jeremy Clarkson and Piers Morgan, and those who have been waging those media campaigns against the Sussexes, I just say thank you and God bless. And for those of you who have hashtagged We Love You Meghan, to be the tide that is rising above, I think it's just so impactful. So let me know your thoughts on this story in the comment section below. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for all your comments and your love. And a special thank you to those who support this channel financially. I would like to say thank you and God bless you. And a special thank you right now to a couple of you who support this channel. Some shout outs to some channel supporters here. I want to say thank you. A special thank you to you, TCC Sun. Thank you for your love and your giving. Thank you to you, Gary Adderley. Thank you and God bless you for your longtime support that has meant so much. You are absolutely fantastic. And a special thank you to you, Connie Balmer. Thank you so very much for your support and your generosity. God bless you. And a special thank you to Regenia Means Bonds. Thank you. Thank you so much for your kindness, and I appreciate your care and your love. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And a special thank you to those who gave super thanks. I want to give a special thank you to Gail Tapscott, who is also a supporter of this channel. I want to say that I appreciate you and I pray for God's blessings upon you. And thank you to Rochelle Cherry as well. You are so kind and dear to me, and I also pray for God to bless you abundantly. Thank you so much. Thank you once again to all who support this channel financially, and leave your thoughts on this news in the comment section below. And remember just to rise above. Let the comment section, not descend to his level. Let's rise high. Let's write words of encouragement concerning the Duchess of Sussex. Hashtag we love you Meghan as well if you can. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I love you all. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.